me being 45 now, it's like, I just think the same way. I almost look at like a football season like you're going away on deployment in the military.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, here I go again. And there's only one way to do it. And I think, Jim, we've talked from time to time just about how do you enjoy the certain moments of it, And the reality is you can really only be authentic to yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you may say, oh man, I want to, make sure I spend a little more time doing this, during the season.
Yeah.
The reality is when it comes down to it, your competitiveness takes over. And as much as you want to have this playful balance with the work balance, you're going to end up doing exactly what you've always done, which is why you are who you are. You're going to go, how the do I get it done?
That's the question you may ask. Tom Brady's been asking how the F is he gonna get things done. He's had a bit of a rough season after he retired, came back, and now he's talking about how when he goes into these situations where he's gonna go in for the full long season. I'm not sure if you caught that near the beginning of his whole comments and points there as he's talking to Kevin Durant and Jim Gray on this on his radio show. Tom Brady said it's almost like when you go into a full season, it's like being deployed like you're in the military. And you can understand what people may have said afterwards. So Tom Brady said this afterwards before they got too far down his throat. Let's watch.
Before we start, can I say one thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Earlier this week, I made a statement about playing football and the military, and it was a very poor choice of words. And I just want to express that to any sentiments out there that people may have taken it in a certain way. So I apologize.
What did you mean by that comment? Just the fact that football players, they have to make a lot of sacrifices in the season?
To be honest, I don't really want to expand on it too much because I don't feel
I
like.
wanted to give you that opportunity.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for everyone who served, and in the end, we play a game, and the military is defending our country is two very different things, and I shouldn't have made the comparison.
A very clean apology there. Tom Brady was prepared to make sure that happened and actually doesn't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to say that and move on, please. Because he's having trouble at home. He's having marital issues, all these things. People are all up in my man's business. But then he had to come forward and say, this has just been tough for me. And that was the analogy that he made. Now, we're going to discuss just how guilty he is in this because he admitted himself of guilt. But I don't see it as anywhere near as bad as the most, I think, infamous sports moment in comparison to soldiers and war on the field. Remember this guy?
I don't give a flying, you know what, about a ball. I don't give a damn. He'd do the same thing to me. It's war. They don't give a freaking, you know what, about you. They will kill you. They're out there to kill you. So I'm gonna kill them. You write that in the paper. You write that. You make money off that. No, man, I'm pissed. All y'all take this down. I'm pissed, man. We don't care about nobody except it's you. We don't. If I didn't hurt him, he'd hurt me. They're gunning for my legs. I'm gonna come right back at him. Soldier.
It's war, Rick. It's war. How guilty is Tom Brady in this? We know what happened with Kellen Winslow Jr. There he is. He's had a bit of a rough patch after that.
Oh, yes, he has. Yes, he has. Just so you know, if you want to Google Kellen Winslow Jr., not senior, but junior, you will see that he has a long prison sentence for things that no person should do. So let's get back to this. The first time I heard this analogy was when Bernard Hopkins fought Ronald Winky Wright, two Hall of Famers. Bernard Hopkins is one of the best boxers I've ever seen. And HBO ran this series that used to be called 24/7 until they gave up boxing rights. Stupid, but that's another argument, story for another day. And Bernard Hopkins, who had been in prison and got his life together and became this Hall of Fame boxer, was giving an interview and he's like, how I look at it, it's war. It's your life or mine, and I choose mine. And that's always stuck in my head because yes, it is a violent sport. And of course, boxing is mano a mano. This isn't 11 on 11. It's not 5 on 5. It's 1v1, and there's not tennis rackets or pickleball rackets. You are fighting with your hands. So I've always thought it's in bad taste because, and not to like beef up the military industrial complex, but like it's fighting in a sport a direct correlation between picking up an AR and going to Afghanistan. No, of course not. But what I think is pretty interesting is seeing like play the soft piano in the back, and Tom Brady is just like going up there and having to profusely apologize for this. Like it just feels odd to me, honestly. I'm not a fan of what he said. I don't think sports where dudes get paid obviously a lot, and I don't even like using that a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It's like these people are going to war not because they want to, maybe a small portion, very like 1 or 2%. They're going because they want healthcare. And they're going because they want to have some education. Of their bills paid and get an education, of course, and get a free education. Like that's the reason they go, is because they're in dire straits. But to make somebody like Brady, who by the way is about to sign like $100 million contract with Fox Sports when he's done playing the game to become a broadcaster, to equate that to war, bad taste. Obviously, he will never make that mistake again. It's more important for other athletes to not make that mistake.
The question though is this a direct correlation to being a soldier? So Kellen Winslow Jr., the reason why I played that, because he said it's war. That's saying this is what this is. And then saying I'm a soldier, that's directly saying this is what I am. If you say going off for a year to play football because you're away from your family and your friends and you kind of isolate yourself, and it's almost like it feels like it's like deployment like the military. It's a comparison, that's an analogy. So I get why people could get upset, but then again, are you not allowed to make an analogy? If I say, you know what, man, I brought my fire extinguisher out and I put the fire out in the kitchen. I feel like it's like a firefighter ran in the house. It doesn't mean I'm saying I'm a firefighter and I got all the gear on. It's heavy and I lugged up these stairs and I saved this 4-year-old out of his room. None of that is saying. It's just saying it puts my mind at that. Here's an analogy to put your brain as to what I go through when I go off for an entire season and don't see anyone and change my whole routine. Right, it's a comparison.
I understand it's a comparison. Let's go back to something you said. Basically, what I'm hearing from you is, well, are we not allowed to say anything anymore? And like, yeah, you're allowed to say whatever you want. And I thought this was rather harmless in comparison to what some other idiots are saying. However, there has to be some sort of like, oh yeah, I screwed up, my bad. Because clearly, there are people who were in the military that came out heavily against this. Heavily against this.
As they should.
As they should, of course. So like, it's not necessarily that, well, can't we just, make an analogy? Like, of course you can make an analogy, but as much as you have a right to make the analogy, we have a right to correct you on your stupid analogy, period.
Sure, but the thing is, I think the pushback is saying he's not actually lugging. Yeah, he never said that. He just said, I detached myself from everyone else the way that someone detached themselves when they have to go off and fight. Not that he's doing it. I get it though. I understand it.
By the way, like in war, if Brady wanted to make it more clear, he would be like, and I'm surrounded by neutrals in the war who wear zebra colors, that if a pile of dust kicks up on me, they immediately like take me to safety.
Rick is opening up another issue of his beef with Tom Brady, which I have many myself.